change plans. I took the caliper, measured up my journals on my crank. The crank is within tolerances of being 2 thousandths off on the average. So the tolerance level from the book I got says 0.001 to 0.0035, and I'm 0.002, 0.0023 when I'm taking my measurements. So anyways, I'm within tolerance to be able to put another set of standard bearings in here, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to end up taking the caps off the mains. That's going to be the main driving force right there, and try to get a good measurement on them. If they're good, the standard bearings for the mains, I'm going to roll them in, change the plans. Taking this crank off, I've heard some bad stuff. Trying to pull it off, breaking the pulley, pressing it back on, heating it up in the oven, getting it to expand and all that other stuff. I think I'm going to be alright with being able to roll the main bearings in. And I know the rod bearings are fine. I'm buying all brand new bearings. So, change of plans. I took the governor out. Right there is my punch mark on the cam gear, and a punch mark was on the magneto gear. They both lined up. I had to walk it out, so I'm going to have to walk it back in, but that is how I plan, hopefully, to get this cover off. So, man, this thing was filthy as can be. Took all the spring and the plunger out of there, and I'm going to be working on that next, clean that up. That's a mess. Also, bring you over here to my workbench, show you something quick, really quick. This is a part of the plunger. I think I got a broken little bearing in there, so I'm going to have to replace that. Managed to get her out without hurting my gasket. I took this little piece of wire because it wanted to come off with the cover, which is perfectly fine with me, and I walked it all the way around without cutting it or anything like that. And it'll give me a chance too. I can even clean it. I can clean the surface up if I need to. I can even put a little Permatex on it. But upon looking at my cam gear, which I'll try to zoom in on it, guys, quick. That key is right here. Any movement that I have, it's not in that key, it's in my gears. And a lot of you probably know that already. Probably said, hey man, we understand that, but I wanted to check it. But this gives me an opportunity to get all this shit out of here too. I can flush that out a little bit, get it out of there, let it hit my pan. I clean my gasket surface up a little bit here, and need be whatever I got to do just to clean her up. So that's where we're at. And welded up this governor arm. It was really braiding through here and underneath there. It was really wobbling back and forth bad, and it was worn out. So I welded it up, just welded around the areas that were low. Came downstairs, filed her up just nice and rounded off with some sandpaper. And now I have a governor arm that moves really nice and free. Now my governor, I got it all sandblasted really well, all the way around, cleaned all the paint off of it, a lot of thick paint on it. Got her cleaned up. Governor stop pin. This pin, the governor, the part that's out in the shed, sitting in the oil, and this pin right here, this pin, that part right there, that step down, goes inside of that spring. And this pin and that pin, they go together. Well, I took a punch pin and I punched it out of the hole here. Came out pretty easy. And I got the new part for it. This new part's right over here. You'll see, I'll show you the difference. That one's got like a worn out center. And the new one is round. It's almost got like a cone shape on it. So it was worn. Quite a bit of difference in the height and stuff. So it was time for a new one. So I'm going to put this pin in, and then I got a seal right here. This seal is the new part number called for to replace this old copper felt seal. Okay, got the seal in on this side. Lubed it up with white lithium grease, and we're going to insert it so you guys can see. Not that this is a big deal. I ran my fingers in there as best I could, so a lot's going to come out. There we go. That works really well. I'll pull it back up. I got the rod in, the new spring in, new nut and everything. I actually took this pin down here at, maybe this will be better, right here, and I gave it a couple taps because to me this rides in there. You'll see where that horseshoe goes back and forth. It just seemed like it was kind of low, like it was barely catching in the middle there. So I tapped it out just a little bit more. I got my new button in back there for when the governor assembly goes to. But I want to show you this. Right here. I have very little play. I brought this up here. I don't do this kind of I was in the basement and the lighting sucks, and I want to show you this. There's still a little movement there, but I'm going to tell you what, guys, it's smooth this way. But the thing is it was actually further out, and it was hitting. It was getting ready to hit here. I mean, I could move this thing. I could deflect this whole arm right here back and forth like a half inch. It was just totally worn. And welding that rod up and putting that bronze bushing in there made it like brand new again. But there's still a little bit, not much. That seal, I forced that seal to let a little grease through because it was hard getting the grease on that shaft inside that bushing. I ran around with my finger, I'd slide it in there and it all wanted to come out, so I literally filled it full, stuck my finger onto one side, took the governor lever, shoved it in there, and the pressure was building up to the point where I pushed it out the seal. It didn't ruin the seal. Ain't gonna ruin the seal. I ain't worried about it. It's all good, nice and tight. But that way I know I got good lubrication in there, because I don't think oil gets up in there. It's probably why it wears out. There's not much oil that gets inside of here neither, and this governor doesn't have the cap on it like the old, the newer style ones, like your 140s and all that other. I guess they got a cap. You can add a quart or oil to it and let it drain in the engine. But I'm good to go. New spring, everything works good, lines up good. So the other part that goes on the tractor, I'll video later and show you what that's all about. A lot of you already know it, and those who don't, this was really easy. And the one guy out there on YouTube, LL Dog or whatever, with his governor refurbishing it, a lot of great ideas. So I'm going to grease up this stuff, grease up those fingers out there, push some grease into those needle bearings. My needle bearings looked fine. This seal out here probably isn't in the best shape, but nothing is really loose in it. So I'm gonna go with it. And oh yeah, down there at the very bottom, I'm gonna put, I got a new governor bumper spring on the bottom that needs to go in. So I'm going to take this cap off and see what's all underneath there too. That screw adjust up at the very top, yeah, you can't see it, but that screw out here hits the top of the lever, then that area down there with the arm going through hits the spring down there, and I guess it just helps everything stabilize a little bit more. So, alright,